The following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to think if we criminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, tokers and tokettes, and welcome. It is Tuesday, September 13th, 2011, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Rolla J Studios. We got a packed house today and lots of stuff to get to, so let's get right to it. We start at the Pirates Cove with our very own Ganja John.
What's up, Russ? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I understand you had a traumatic experience yesterday, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about it now.
All right, we'll get that in an hour or two, but wow, what an interesting story John's got for you for those of us sticking around live. Also joining us here in the studio, Wiz Kaliko is back at the mic. How you doing, Wiz?
Aloha. Hey. Glad to be back.
Got moved in, got your new place in Monmouth?
At least got my keys and got everything settled, so now I can start moving in next week. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. All sorts of guests in the studio as well. Cannabis Cure is here. Sarah Frank from Moms for Marijuana. And Dan is here as well. The Laid Back Lumberjack in the studio. And then Todd Armstrong getting ready for his Todd's Toker Topics, which we'll get to right at the end of the show. We're going to be talking about Hemp Fest today in the Toker Topics. Also, let's go to our virtual studio in beautiful Grastoria, Oregon, and the lovely Cannabis Carrie. How you doing, Carrie?
Hello. Not so crowded in my studio today.
Only
Population one.
Population one. Aw, poor Carrie. Well, Carrie, you're here with us in spirit anyway, and I'm sure somebody will toke a bowl for you.
Excellent.
All right. Carrie brings us our hemp headlines right after the first break. So, Carrie, what's in the news today?
Well, we have a follow-up story on on two of our stashers. The first is going to be Jerry Laberty of Spokane. Also, a Las Vegas court decision that came out today that I want to tell you all about. We're going to give a shout-out to a Tennessee congressman that I think you guys would be happy with what he's done this week. And also a stupid stoner story, because it's sort of like a Friday on a Tuesday today.
That's right. Because tomorrow and Thursday we won't have regular live shows. I'll be bringing you the best of Hempstock 2011, two 2-hour shows from the Hemposium panel. So check that out. I'm headed to Ontario, Oregon to be a part of a town hall meeting on marijuana legalization there on the east side of this state. So I'll be out until Friday. Also coming up at the end of the news today, I've got an update on our good friend Rolla J, the namesake of Rolla J Studios, and our first sports report on the Viper Football League. We'll tell you how well the Pigskin Potheads did in their game against the Green Bud Packers. It's Electric Tuesday today for our daily Toker Tunes, so we got some great dance music for you coming up a little bit later at 20 after. And then at half past, we're going to show a couple videos shot by Cannabis Cure UK. It's just the raw video, but you can get the finished product at Cannabis Cure TV out there at YouTube. And it's a couple of videos featuring our friend Subcool, the fantastic breeder grower from Team Green Avenger. And we've got a little bit of him on the Grow panel talking about Monsanto. Somebody had a Monsanto question, and he had some really good answers for that. And then a dual interview. You get Herb Thrasher and Subcool together talking about being potheads in the South and what it's like for them coming up from a Southern perspective. All of that and more, including Todd's Toker Topic on Hemp Fest. Plus, in hour two, we'll get to discussing more of our experiences at the Portland Hempstock this last weekend, as well as the interesting time that John had just yesterday. So all that and more coming up on Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll be right back after these messages.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that gives us these precious rights. Treat law enforcement with respect, and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Weedmaps.com. I'm Radical Russ from Norml. In my job as outreach coordinator, I travel every month, and when I'm on the road, I need a fast, accurate way to find the medical marijuana dispensaries in the area. So I turn to Weedmaps.com. Weedmaps.com has the best dispensary locator online or on your mobile device. Search by zip code or let Weedmaps find you, and in seconds you'll have the addresses, phone numbers, and customer service reviews for the medical marijuana dispensaries in the local area. Weedmaps.com also has a section devoted to helping you find a doctor who understands and recommends medical marijuana under your state's law. You can even check prices on the Medical Marijuana Stock Exchange. Coming soon, you'll even be able to find the listings of Norml attorneys and chapters, local head shops and grow shops, and the best weed-friendly businesses. Weedmaps.com has the information you need to be an informed cannabis consumer. Visit Weedmaps.com today, a proud sponsor of the Norml Network.
Inhaling deeply of the sacred smoke.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carrie.
We have a follow-up on a story we've been closely monitoring. A stasher, a Spokane medical marijuana advocate, and a former dispensary co-op operator, that's one person, Jerry Laberty, was ordered to be released from jail on Monday afternoon as he awaits a trial. Laberty, who is 57, is facing federal charges related to his work with the Spokane, Washington area dispensary. Laberty was sitting in jail after turning himself in last month on charges that he violated his pre-trial release. After the initial charge of trafficking related to his work with the dispensary, Lincoln County Sheriff officials found some marijuana plants at his home on August 12th, violating his original release conditions. But today he will be able to sleep in his own bed as U.S. Magistrate Cynthia Imbrogno imposed a bond and called for frequent status conferences as a condition of his release to ensure that Laberty complies this time with his release conditions. Now, those include drug tests and refraining from using alcohol. So we're glad he's home today.
Well, good news for Jerry Laberty on getting home, but bad news on, having to take the drug test for the probation. You're just basically sentencing him to have to experience more pain or discomfort than he should have to suffer. But, it beats it. Yeah, it beats a jail cell.
And a court case in Las Vegas gets a favorable turn. A district judge yesterday tossed out an indictment in a medical marijuana criminal case and then called the state law that governs distribution of medical marijuana mind-boggling. Judge Donald Mosley said that the grand jury should have been allowed to see certain evidence before returning an indictment against Leonard Schwingdorf. During his case, Schwingdorf had paperwork that was filled out by an undercover police officer that showed the marijuana in question was not for sale and that a donation to the medical marijuana co-op was not necessary to obtain marijuana if he needed it. Leonard Schwingdorf and Nathan Hamilton were both indicted on 11 counts that included sale of a controlled substance during an undercover sting operation. A Las Vegas police officer who had a medicinal marijuana registration card in his possession came to their Sin City co-op and obtained marijuana after giving the co-op money. But the defense attorney in the case argued for the indictment's dismissal since prosecutors did not present 4 key pieces of evidence that he says may have swayed the grand jury not to indict his client. One was the actual medical marijuana registration card that the officer used to gain entry into the co-op. The defense is arguing that the officer had, quote, manufactured the sale of marijuana by presenting the card and choosing to make a donation even though the paperwork he filled out said a donation was not necessary. The second piece of evidence, suppressed by the prosecution, the defense lawyer also said that the grand jury should have been shown the vials that the marijuana came in, which are clearly labeled not for sale. And lastly, he said it should have been known during the grand jury that Sin City Co-op is registered as a nonprofit. After hearing about the evidence not presented, Judge Mosley dismissed the indictment, but without prejudice, meaning the prosecutors could re-indict Swingdorf at a later date. And of course, there's always a chance that federal prosecutors could pick up the case since marijuana, medical or not, is illegal under federal law. But in his dismissal, Judge Mosley said that the law regulating medical marijuana is confusing at best, saying the legislature needs to make up their mind if it's legal or not. He says as a judge he couldn't make any sense out of the existing law. He said the Nevada law that makes it legal for cardholders to possess, deliver, and produce marijuana, but they cannot buy or sell it, and asked, are people supposed to just give it away? Saying, I mean, it makes no sense. Authorities in Las Vegas have cracked down and eliminated nearly all of the dispensaries that were once located in Las Vegas, holding that cooperatives are receiving compensation in the form of donations, something that local law enforcement says violates Nevada law. Swingdorf is just one of a dozen other defendants who are facing indictments for distributing medical marijuana. They are all arguing some form of paradoxical nature of the law, since patients that are registered with the state can possess marijuana, but it is illegal for them to obtain it. Federal prosecutors are prosecuting 7 more defendants from another Las Vegas co-op, completely legal in a similar case next week, and a hearing is set for Friday in another medical marijuana case against a dispensary provider.
You know, that's the same exact situation we have here in Oregon. You know, people that are suffering from cancer, HIV, multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease. We've found this wonderful plant that can help you. It can ease the troubles of your symptoms. It can even, in some cases, help reverse some of the progression of these diseases. Oh, great. That's fantastic. I can use this legally. Where do I get it? Oh, sorry. I can't help you there. How cruel is that? It's just awful that we do that to people. And I'm glad that this judge is recognizing, the idiocy of saying that you can have tens of thousands of legal users of a medicine, but then give them nowhere to get that medicine.
And we want to highlight the work of a Democratic congressman from Memphis, Tennessee, that sent a letter to Gil Kurlikowski, the federal drug czar, asking the Office of National Drug Control Policy to rethink their marijuana laws. Congressman Steve Cohen sent a letter this week to the NDCP telling them that there is no evidence that marijuana has the same addictive qualities or damaging consequences as cocaine, heroin, or methamphetamine and should not be treated as such. He also went on to say that the law enforcement costs for pursuing marijuana users could be as much as $7.6 billion a year, or nearly $10,000 per arrest after factoring in all the outlaying costs. Representative Cohen has already sponsored a bill to decriminalize marijuana in his state, but it has yet to make its way to the legislature.
Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee is one of my heroes in the United States Congress right now. He's one of the few that will stand up and speak the truth on the war on drugs. He's a co-sponsor of the H.R. 2306, the Ending Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act. And he first appeared on our radar with this clip that we played, I don't remember if it was last year or a year before. He was in Congress at a hearing of the FBI director, William Mueller, and they were going over the gateway theory, and Mueller was trying to propose the gateway theory as a reason why we need to continue drug prohibition. Listen to the way Cohen takes him apart.
The only thing I would say is that you talk to parents who have lost their children to drugs.
Right.
And they will inevitably say that they started off with marijuana.
They probably started off with milk and then went to beer. And then they went to bourbon, and then they might have gone to marijuana. The gateway theory doesn't work.
Maybe.
It's a reality.
The gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality. That's one of our congressmen in there fighting for us. So thank you, Representative Steve Cohen, and we hope to get you on the show sometime soon.
And here on Norml Show Live, we often tell our listeners what to do in a traffic stop if you have marijuana in your possession. It's difficult in the face of the stress of dealing with a police officer that is trained to trick you into giving up evidence, but we all need to know our rights and what our lawyer would want us to do in that situation. Now, the man in the following story flunked that part with flying colors. On Sunday in Belrose, Louisiana, a woman was pulled over for not wearing her seatbelt. Now, there was another woman in the passenger seat and a man in the back seat. When the driver stepped out of the car to speak to to the officer, 28-year-old Jermaine Moland dove out of the back seat, jumped into the front seat, shoved the female front passenger out the door as he sped off, kicking up gravel as he sped away. The 22-year-old woman hit her head and was treated for minor injuries at the scene. Mullen then drove erratically through several yards with children and adults jumping out of the way to avoid being run over. The vehicle was found abandoned a few miles away where a woman said she may have heard noises coming from her shed. In the shed, of course, they found the man hiding with a paper napkin filled with a handful of marijuana. The man was now arrested on numerous charges, including resisting arrest, driving under a suspended license, resisting an officer, reckless driving, theft of a motor vehicle, no seatbelt, and, of course, marijuana possession. His lawyer is, if he has one yet, must be shaking his head.
Well, yeah, we can chalk this up as a stupid stoner story, but what leads someone to that level of desperation and want to speed away from the cops? You said Louisiana, right, Carrie?
Yes, this was in Louisiana.
Okay, so Louisiana, I think Louisiana is one of those 3 strikes and you're out states. So who knows? This guy may have had 2 strikes already and was thinking, boy, they catch me with some weed and I'm going to prison for a long, long time. Why not try to drive away, try to get away and not have to go to prison? This is what happens in the drug war, is it leads people to being desperate and doing these desperate things that they never would have done if he'd had just been caught with a 6-pack of beer. All right, we got to give you an update here, our first sports update of the year. So here we go straight to the Viper Football League, and you can follow us at bit.ly/Viper FL, capital V, capital FL, Viper FL, and you can learn more about this. We have a team out there called the Pigskin Potheads. Next one over, heavy action. The Pigskin Potheads, a fantasy football team comprised solely of NFL players who've been busted for marijuana. They've won their first game of the season by defeating the Green Bud Packers by a score of 92.74 to 81.14. All right, good job. Now, the Green Bud Packers is a team consisting solely of players from the Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers, and they played all of their game on Thursday, defeating the Saints 42-34. And even though quarterback Aaron Rodgers had 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter, our Potheads quarterback Michael Vick of Philadelphia nearly matched his fantasy points, but had a lost fumble. It cost him 2 points. He just was 2 points behind the Super Bowl MVP. The Packers receiving core of Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver combined for 17.8 points. They were outplayed by one Potheads receiver, Kenny Britt of Tennessee, who had 28.6 points. Santonio Holmes of the Jets had another 7 points, and one of our players on the bench, we should have started him, Percy Harvin from Minnesota, had 18.5 points. Again, outplaying the 2 Packers receivers. Our Potheads running backs, Marshawn Lynch and Ricky Williams, both failed to score touchdowns and got a low 12.4 points. The Packers running backs, Ryan Grant and James Starks, had 16.2 points. But our tight end from New England, Aaron Hernandez, far outplayed the Packers tight end, Jermichael Finley, and scored 17.3 fantasy points versus Finley's 5.3. On the other side of the ball, the Packers defense dominated, combining for 10.5 points. Our defense only got 2 points, but we had sat Tom Zabowski from Baltimore. He had 5 points on the bench. We should have played him. And the Potheads kicker, Lawrence Tynes, only had 2 points. Now, the Pigskin Potheads, 92.74 points, a team of all players who've been busted for pot or tested positive for pot or had a news story about pot, was the number 1 team in the Viper Football League this week. The other 2 teams, the Pittsburgh Stoners and the Kansas City Chiefs, scored 55.8 and 28.08 points between them. So there you have it. Updates from Viper FL. The number 1 team is the Pigskin Potheads. And in other news, we want to remind folks to free Rolla J. Our friend Jason Rivera, Rolla J, is going to court on October 11th in Alameda. It's at the Hayward Justice Center, or whatever they call it, Superior Court of Alameda County. And Omar Figueroa, his attorney, is asking us all to write letters of support for Rolla J. We have a template on how to write the letter out, basically an introductory paragraph, a paragraph about how you know Jay and can vouch for his character, and then a third paragraph asking the judge to release Jay on his own recognizance. He's being charged federal charges that have to do with manufacture and distribution of a controlled substance, or as we like to call it, growing medicine and sharing it with sick people in a state that supports it overwhelmingly. So, of course, Rolla J does not deserve any time. He deserves to be out on his own recognizances. He's a responsible, a mature adult who's going to live up to his responsibilities. We've got to help convince the judge of that. Email me at stash@norml.org, and I'll let you know how you can help Rolla J.
worked. What do you think about a break, Russ?
It worked. Things are going good. Let's take us a break and celebrate with the studio audience. We're back with some Electric Tuesday.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would say to South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is coming to Detroit on October 15th and 16th. That's right. The world's premier medical marijuana competition will be in Motown to celebrate the cannabis economy of the Great Lakes State. It's a two-day expo at Birch Warehouse Theater, showcasing the movers and shakers of the Michigan medical marijuana industry and the merchandise that makes the machine go. There will be seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, doctors, patients, researchers, growers, dispensary owners, and activists. Plus, High Times own cultivation editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido will roll into town with the goods on growing great ganja. Be there for an amazing Saturday night VIP party featuring top musical performances and special guests. High Times will award the Medical Cannabis Cup for top indicas, sativas, hybrids, concentrates, and edibles, entered by Michigan's dispensaries and collectives. Come to Birch Warehouse Theater on October 15 and 16. Visit medcancup.com for all the details. Celebrate cannabis in Michigan. Celebrate the resurgence of Detroit. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Hi, this is Alan St. Pierre, Executive Director of Norml. This year, the Drug Czar's office has a $60 million budget for advertising their Reefer Madness propaganda. We here at Norml don't have that kind of money, but we've got two weapons for fighting back. Your donations and the truth. Please, make a donation to Norml so we can continue to expand this podcast and our other media campaigns. Even a donation of $4.20 can help. Visit us on the web at norml.org or call toll-free 888-67-NORML, NORML. Thank you for caring and sharing.
You know why we pirates love the Norml Show? Har har! 'Cause it's always smoking matey. Har 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 har!
In today's busy world, we're inundated by advertising for all types of pharmaceuticals that come with a laundry list of potential side effects. Shouldn't you have better medical choices? Natural alternatives to pills pushed by Big Pharma? At Alternative Medical Choices, you could choose natural, safe, and effective alternative therapies that are right for your budget without nasty side effects. Cannabis, or marijuana, has been a legal medicine in the Pacific Northwest since 1998. Our doctors will help determine your qualifications for a medical marijuana recommendation in Oregon, no matter where you live. Our massage therapists will ease your aches and stress with soothing hemp seed oil or cannabis-infused massage salves. We also offer acupuncture, Reiki, and other alternative health therapies. Call Alternative Medical Choices in Portland, Oregon at 503-288-5579 or visit our website at www.altmedchoices.com. We specialize in out-of-state recommendations. That's www.altmedchoices.com or call 503-288-5579.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we bring you tunes for Electric Tuesday, our segment featuring the best of modern electric music in the genres of dance, new age, house, and experimental. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's daily Toker Tunes.
All right, we're back with our Daily Toker Tunes, and our tunes editor, Cannabis Cure, is sitting right here, loading up the Sheldon Black with dabs, and he's been just a busy man, uploading videos. You got to check him out at youtube.com/CannabisCureTV, doing tons and tons of work, and so we're going to pull up one from the archives for today, because I know you've been busy, and you got plenty of stuff to upload. But tell us about some of the latest videos that you'll be adding to the channel here, some of the stuff that you've been recording lately.
Well, we have had a great adventure this weekend with Subcool. That was pretty cool, and obviously we were at Hempstalk, and he was obviously demonstrating his products, his plants, his flowers, showing patients his strains that you can get from tgagenetics.com. I'm going to be editing all that together. It's going to be available on his channel, Subcool 420.
Right on. I see you got the Subcool Seeds hat as well.
I don't know if that's...
That's fantastic. All right, so we're just going to pull this song up from the archives of Electric Tuesday. It's Groove Junkies with Far Away, T.C. Moses with GJ's alternate vocals. Is that Ganja John? Ganja John's alternate vocals? Could it be? No,
it's not.
No, your singing career hasn't taken off yet?
No.
All right, well, here we go. Let's have some fun. Electric Tuesday, this is Groove Junkies, Far Away.
Want a copy of that song for your iPod? Check out the Daily Toker Tunes at the Stash blog by surfing to stash.norml.org and choosing Media, and then Toker Tunes from the main menu.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527. Okay, class, repeat after me. Am I free to go, officer? I don't consent to any searches, officer. I wish to speak to my attorney before answering any questions, officer. These 3 phrases may help your attorney keep your ass out of a jail cell someday. So memorize them and use them.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
Marijuana and alcohol are the 2 most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
The most devastating effect of the war on marijuana is that it is a war on everyday people like you and me. All week, we speak to the doctors, scientists, celebrities, and politicians who make up the professionals fighting for cannabis liberty. But we never forget about the tens of millions who use cannabis, the millions who need medical access to cannabis, and the hundreds of thousands arrested every year for cannabis, and the tens of thousands imprisoned under our marijuana laws. At Norml, we are the Cannabis Consumers Lobby, and we take this opportunity to share the experience of our cannabis community.
All right, one of our big community events, in fact, probably the biggest community event out here in Portland, Oregon, is the Portland Hemp Stock, which just took place this last weekend, and our own Cannabis Cure was out there with video camera in tow, recording Hemposium and speakers and the bands and the crowds, and you can catch all of those videos by going to Cannabis Cure TV on YouTube. We've got a couple of raw videos to show you, haven't been processed for titling or anything like that, but a couple of the raw videos. This first one we're going to show you was the Growers panel at the Hemposium, which featured Subcool from TGAgenetics.com, as well as Rafael Martinez and Gio, both local growers here associated with the USA Cannabis Cafe, and our own Todd Armstrong was the moderator. We'll play a few minutes of this, and then we'll follow it up with a special interview with Herb Thrasher and Subcool, both Southern boys, talking about what it was like to grow up potheads in the Deep South. But first, the Growers panel.
Your chemical genetically modified
that's it. Right.
Thing that's going on where Monsanto now and in that now what do you guys think about the Monsanto products that are coming out and the nutrient lines, and how would the average consumer be able to tell the difference between a Monsanto type chemically products like that and one that's already?
You can't. And the corn situation, the fact that it is illegal in this country now to own a seed harvesting machine in the middle of this country to harvest your own seed, that's a whole nother symposium there. I can tell you that the Swerve, he's a friend of mine, he owns the Cala Connection, and Don and Aaron, who own DNA, and about 1,000 other people don't really give a shit what the government think, and the only way they're going to stop us from protecting the plant is to shoot us or kill us or lock us up. And just know that there are people like that out there. And I mean, this is for real, guys. I've been down 3 times. If they come to get me right now, I don't get to see you guys ever again.
Well,
you got to believe in this, and you got to fight for the plant.
Well, one thing, I know for me and Joe, we try not to use a lot of chemicals. You know what I mean? I know Subby, when I did my dirt soil, I did it because of Subby's super soil. A lot of your nutrients is in your dirt already. You don't have to add anything. And if you do, you just add another dose of super soil.
Can I ask you real quick? Y'all will learn something, but the whole, there's a very small portion of people who really hate the fact that I use blood meal and bat poop.
I do it.
And they're into veganics. Now, I tasted Kyle Cushman's veganically grown bud, and it was good. I mean, straight, it was good. But, I just don't think that, I understand people that don't eat meat, that, don't want to drink their blood and everything, but I'm not sure putting blood meal and bat poop in the dirt and then growing a plant with it is necessarily...
Well, this would be
It is the ground.
It's the waste.
It is what it is.
This would be my theory on that. If you're a vegan and you're not into eating meat and you're eating grass and all this other stuff, well, just because grass doesn't scream, it's a living organism. It grows, it feels, it gets cut. When you cut it, it bleeds. So you are still killing in that concept. And if you're eating grass and you're bleeding, you're drinking blood anyways. You know what I mean? Just because it's silent doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
So my plants scream when I cut them down, bro?
Baby girl, things scream. We love it sometimes. You know what I mean?
The vaginas
saying?
Light all the plant vaginas on fire and enjoy yourself.
That would be my theory. But that's just my theory on it.
Pussies, burn them all!
And a question.
Yeah. Cut a hold of dicks.
Kind of in a way to get back to what you're talking about pollination. I grew up in the Midwest, and we have natural hemp fields that just grow now. They've been there since, and it is a true fact that you do see far sparser males spread around in a natural situation where they're naturally breeding, untouched by hand. But I also want to get around to that point of hemp itself, and there's a lot of initiatives going around that include hemp on the bill, namely one I'm not going to mention. But what do you feel as growers about the possibility of hemp being grown in an area around gardens?
Go ahead.
Ooh. Go ahead. No, good, because mine's dangerous.
Mine's dangerous. Mine's just lame. Mine's lame. The reason I can do what I do is because of the plant driving profits for my company.
Well, no, I'm talking about
let me finish.
pollen production.
I'm not understanding, Tom. You're talking about the allowing hemp to be grown commercially in this country, pollen ruining the end, and that's going to happen, I believe, if we pass. I don't know how to prevent it. There is a distance that you can put medical crops in hemp. I'm right, but I don't know if we're that organized. Our government certainly not. Go
ahead.
Why don't we close out on this, guys? We got to wrap this up.
For me, guys,
please don't grow hemp.
I believe in hemp, guys. I think hemp is going to help the environment. I think that there has to be a divide if we grow in the East Coast, because one thing we got to remember is if we grow cannabis, it doesn't need a lot of light. You can grow it in the rainforest, theoretically. It's a weed. You can wake up every morning and spit on it, throw your cup of coffee on it. As long as it gets some minute amount of water, it's going to grow. And if you're growing plants strictly for hemp, and I don't want to dog Subby because Subby grows seeds, but he grows indoors, and he has a lab. He has a laboratory. You need to be clean when you go into his lab. You come out of my garden, you're dirty. You know what I mean? But if we grow on the East Coast where there isn't much shade, I full-on believe hemp is going to save the world. I'm not going to say it isn't, because it's a product that is out there. There's resin, there's food, there's all kinds of stuff that will benefit us out of that. But leave the West Coast to the cannabis growers to where we can grow and use the sun. And it's not about West Coast being the best coast, even though it is. It is where the sun is, and that's realistic. We have the best cannabis here in the Emerald Triangle and in the lower states of Oregon and some of these upper Oregon growers. So am I for hemp? Yes. I think hemp is going to save us and help us economically. I think cannabis is also going to help us economically, and they have to be separated, because plain and simple truth is, I'm going to go to jail when the hemp farmer comes and pollinates my crop, and I go over there and I burn his crop down and shoot his dog. They're going to come and get me. And that's what's going to happen because I put time and effort in learning my skills and pushing them out to everybody for a guy who's coming just to get rich off making hemp clothes to ruin my crop that I give away to people. You know what I mean? I'm going to be very upset. So that's my theory on it, guys. If you're a hemp grower out there, I'm sorry. Let's sit down and we'll talk and we'll figure out how you're going to live in the East Coast. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out.
I can't grow marijuana in Dakota.
West of the Rockies, we get Sensimilla.
We want to get behind the West of the Rockies. Hey, thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you guys, man. Grow. Keep growing.
Gio, have a good day. Thank you, Gio. We'll be back here a little bit with sensible drug policy. Stay back in about 5 minutes. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, that's our panel on industrial hemp there, or not industrial hemp, but on marijuana growing, going off into the industrial hemp territory. It is something that we have to consider, that when we do legalize cannabis, that hemp is legalized as well, and outdoor growers are not going to want their crops anywhere near an industrial hemp crop where cross-pollination could occur.
So hanging here in the...
Sorry about that. No, that's okay. We're going to go on to our next video here. I didn't realize it would pop up that quick, but it's a little more processed. Subcool with Herb Thrasher, both talking about what it's like to grow up as cannabis consumers in the South. And again, big thanks to Cannabis Cure UK for making these videos possible. He's doing great work there on the videography, and I'm sure you'll see more and more of his videos, especially with Subcool, coming out here in the future. This was filmed a little later at night, I think on the second day of Hempstock as it was closing down. So it's a little dim as you look at it, but the audio is wonderful. Here we go with Subcool and Herb Thrasher.
So we're hanging here in the Herb Thrasher tent. How's it going, Herb?
It's going great,
How's
man.
it going, Subcool?
Fucking awesome, man.
Oh, we just wanted to do a little bit talking about what it's like smoking pot, growing pot, and living as a 420 guy down in the South. You're both Southern States guys, I take it.
You see, we're standing in the West Coast now, so that's one indication of what
we knew where to go, didn't we?
We knew where to go, right?
We knew where to go, man.
I don't know about you, bro, but you know where I'm from, it was basically earth or bark dust.
It was a lot of joints. You know, we didn't really have pipes and bongs because it was seeds and stems, dirt.
Yeah.
And you had you break it up flat. It would come off in layers.
Oh God!
And
remember the old stuff that come packed in the PVC tubes and they'd hammer it in until it was a little wedge.
I know. And now everyone's got the grinders. And really, back in the '80s, we needed the grinders for that shit. You know what I mean? We didn't have no grinders. There was no tools or anything. Not for us. In fact, head shops. Did you have a head shop where you grew up? No head shops where we grew up. In fact, I had to drive to Nashville, which was about a 2.5-hour drive for me to go get any kind of device if we wanted it, but there was no reason because it was dirt.
Exactly. There was no. I remember the first time I saw Sensimilla. I mean, it was like some foreign thing.
Do you remember how much you were paying for it back then?
Yeah, it was $100 a quarter. I paid $100 for 7 grams, and I was buying brown pot for 40 an ounce.
That's right. That's right.
And the guy, I remember, he goes, I got something different, and I was like, well, what's that? He goes, call homegrown.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't know fucking homegrown. He goes, no, this is different.
Yeah.
And he brought it out, and it smelled so good. I mean, compared to what we smoke nowadays, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But compared to the brown pot, it was literally, and I knew I didn't want to smoke anything else the rest of my life.
That's right. Well, I will say this, though. I go home every year, once a year, and I do buy some of that brick weed. It's still there. And, dude, I got to tell you, for the first 2 or 3 days, I do catch a little.
CBD.
I do catch a little bit of a buzz. I mean, it's cool. And like I was saying, joints. I'm up here in the Northwest. We bongs and pipes, and so that's when I feel like I really get to smoke my joints again. Is when I go home.
Cool. You know what I did when I went back home once? I stopped by and saw my old regular guy. The guy that, I mean, nobody else in the world would have weed. He had yep, got it. How is it? Okay. I stopped by and smoked a joint of Apollo 13 with him, and it was just cruel. He was so high by the second hit. He kept asking me what I'd slipped him, It took a minute for me to convince him that it was just really good. He goes, well, I got to get the hell out to California. That's what I thought I was.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's what we did.
Oh, interesting. Looks as though our system is falling apart on us.
West Coast, man. We
still
do
going
appreciate
there?
all you West
All right,
Coasters
it's
out
back.
here, and I guess Subcool and I are also now. But you guys definitely did a good thing, man, and we appreciate all the stuff, and we love being part of the West Coast movement. Now, I know I do.
Dude, Oregon opened. I came here from some trouble, and Oregon allowed me to come here. I applied to come here, and Oregon said, we'll take you. Don't watch me and they let me be here. So, like my home state, I hate to say this, but I mean, this is my home state. That's why I'm proud to be here. So.
That's right on, man.
What would you say to guys back in your home states where, they were doing what you were doing? What do you think they need to do?
If you're in marijuana culture back south, you have to come out here to experience it because we have real freedom here today. I mean, we have freedom on the West Coast. You read the news reports or whatever, but I can tell you, you feel free today?
Well, I do feel free, and I would say definitely, like Subcool says, come out, but don't come out thinking you have to move out here because we need people that are doing what's happening out here, but definitely do what Subcool says. Come out here, get a feel for what's going on. Meet some of the West Coast people who really have done some of this movement and things, and learn some ideas,
go back home,
different kinds, and grow back home, man. South, I know there's not a lot of garden supply stores, places to do things, but you can find it and you can do your own thing.
Overgrow the government, man.
That's right. It doesn't have to be all brick. Especially if you do it yourself, you can really learn and do your own good things.
Definitely. Thank you very much, guys.
So cool, isn't it? Hizzy.
Awesome, Herb.
Right on, herbagedesign.com.
TGAgenetics.com.
You know where it's at. Cannabis Cure TV loves you guys. Thank you very much.
Man, thanks, bro.
Cannabis. Just say no.
No matter what you call it, it's a huge part of popular culture.
Where'd you learn that, geek? Drug school.
You don't need weed school. You just need a copy of the new book, Pot Culture, the A to Z Guide to Stoner Language and Life.
Hey, this is great, man.
Even if you never smoked marijuana.
I never used marijuana. Sorry.
Don't think you smoked marijuana.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two and didn't inhale.
Or you used to smoke marijuana.
I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
Pot Culture by former High Times editor Steve Bloom and Shirley Halperin will answer every question you ever had about marijuana culture.
Has that marijuana made it back up here yet?
Check out Pot Culture, the A to Z Guide to Stoner Language and Life at Amazon.com or visit potculturebook.com today.
Too bad, man. I just stopped smoking yesterday.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization and regulation and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. At Norml, we've been prepping for this debate for 40 years.
You're listening to Norml's Daily Audio Stash.
It's tough talking to kids about marijuana, especially if you might be a parent who dabbled a time or two in your youth. So to help you out, get your copy of Dr. Mitch Earlywine's latest book, A Parent's Guide to Marijuana. Dr. Earlywine is an associate professor of psychology at the State University of New York at Albany and an expert on the studies concerning marijuana, its effect on health and society, and the methodology behind the statistics. He is a frequent guest here on our daily audio stash. Dr. Earlywine lays it all out without the propaganda and scare tactics that parents know won't work with teenagers. He presents a rational understanding of cannabis, what it is and what it isn't, and why kids shouldn't be using marijuana. You can order today through Amazon.com or check our links at our blog, stash.norml.org. Here at Norml Show Live, we spend all week taking a serious look at the tragedy of American marijuana prohibition. But it is important to take a break and remember that we are a vibrant, diverse, and oftentimes hilarious community of people. So on Tuesdays, our friend, comedian Todd Armstrong, or Goob the Knob on Facebook and Twitter, joins us to expose the lighter side of lighting up with Todd's Toker Topics. All right, we're going to turn things over to Todd Armstrong here in the studio, fresh off his first ever hosting gig or MC gig at the Portland Hempstock. Did you have a good time at Hempstock?
I did. It was interesting. I was stuck in a tent all day. It was very hot and sweaty, but it was fun.
Yeah, it had a lot of fun filming you there in the tent there at Hempstock. You were part of that video we just showed at the Growers video. So that kind of leads us to our topic today, which is hemp fests in general. And Todd, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Russ, again, and thank you everybody here at the show. I had a good time at both Hemp Fest and Hemp Style. I had my first opportunity to really hang out with Ganja John, my new buddy, up there at Hemp Fest, and learned a lot of things, mainly about hemp oil. But other than that, a few things I like to focus on with Hemp Fest is always expect 4 things. Is it to always be hot for some reason, and always expect to walk so goddamn much. Expect a sweaty ass, but don't worry about it stinking because everybody smells like ganja, so everything's totally fine. And you're always going to be held... They're always going to condone the stoners off to whatever parks that people dump bodies at, both in Seattle or in Portland. Whether it be like just leave the dead girl on the rocks or leave the dead gay guy out at Kelly Point Park.
Yeah.
And on the good times of those, both parks are often used to make sophomore high school moms because they're great teenage humping spots. So let's keep the potheads where they started. But starting both with HempFest, parking was an issue, both HempFest and HempStock. Starting with the odd Seattle's a bitch as it starts with, but then you go from there. But interesting enough, for HempStock, they thought of an interesting idea of just having a Mad Max roadblock. I don't know what was going on. They stopped you in the middle of the road. I thought it was like at a moment in Iraq. I thought it was that high. It was insane. So I was going to thought a good idea, instead of stopping people a quarter mile from there with a $5 sign, I was going to go about half mile back and set up a parking for $2 sign and just try to get away with it for an hour and a half before everybody got away with it. But once we finally got in, there's things I did notice is that with all the hotness out there, we're potheads, we're stoners, we're indoor people. Like, don't make us so hot, God, please. Like, we all wear black T-shirts, and you make us take it off, and it all gets so white so fast. It's not fun. And then you get to see regretful tattoos. People often will show the tattoos they enjoy, but they hide the ones they don't. And HempFest and HempStock brings that out, much like it brings out white people in dreadlocks. And women that should wear bras that don't want to wear bras out of principle. They're going to let their children run around completely naked and just let their wieners hang out and pee everywhere. But when it comes to the child might needing to poop, they throw that plastic diaper back on it. Yeah. Living your principles about loving them. I wonder why it's not legal yet. Wink, wink. I'm going to judge a little bit. Just like we discussed in the panel, the vegan growers. Vegan growers. What do you think the dirt is made of? Are you serious? Dead things. When you first spark up, do you not realize you killed dinosaur bones when you spark up anything? When you burn that butane or drive your car to get anything? Until you whittle your little campfire and spark your joint that you made the papers on yourself, don't worry about the blood meal. The cow is going to die anyways. It's the circle of pot. Get over it. Thank you. But on the other end, I would love to have Republicans and high-end free market capitalists come to their way. I know they're scared of the smell and the lack of blazers and suit jackets, but there are people that wear blazers and suit jackets when they're high. We have Coleco in the room to prove that. But come down and see the people that can't make their car payments but can make the payment of cash for $470 for that new piece they needed. Capitalism at its finest.
John.
Glass cases in the middle of fields. We're creating markets. It's amazing. People that make their own jewelry and sell it, and people that wouldn't want it unless they were high enough to see it. Because only high people buy jewelry and then wear it, and then they get home and they're like, what the fuck was I thinking? This is made from some lady's hair. I thought it was eco when I started. Now it just seems like some kind of sexual thing, and I'm very frightened. You don't make things out of the bottom of the sink trap. That's just a rule. But also, I know the people who have big hearts there at festivals, they don't worry about mono or herpes because people are shoving things in their mouth, people to person. And I find that odd. That not everyone eats food given to them by a stranger until they tell them, like, oh, there's hemp in it or there's pot in it, and they shove it right in their face. It's an amazing way to be a date rapist, note to self. And I realize the real reason pot's not legal or hemp's not legal is because it's often like junior high recess at these things, where people are arguing and then high, then running in their corners and having fun. But mainly because the only people that really like festivals are 18-year-olds and 40-year-olds. And those people never vote, ever. So this is why you need to appeal to broader audiences. And you need to stop walking up to people when they first know about cannabis or pot. Is stop talking to them like an autistic kid that had his first Lego. You come up like, oh my God, pot can cure cancer. It was the first rope ever in the cannabis, and then books were made out of it. And chill out. Be underestimated. Like when a girl first sees you naked, you apologize for how small it is. You start with low expectations, so she's like, no, we're fine. That's good enough. Underwhelm them and impress them later. But I want to focus on this finally and last before I leave, is that cannabis at both festivals, I saw massive gatherings of people and little violence at all. I've been to beer stalks and beer fests, and it was nothing but puke and groping and violence. it was nothing. None of that happened. It was a lot. This at HempFest and whatnot, you have peace and love and stretch marks. That's what you have. It's a lot of people just really relaxed. But all what it comes down to is HempFest and cannabis festivals. It's a block party for introverts. Let us celebrate. Let us enjoy our introversion. We like to be inside our heads, and then we like to get out and talk about it every once in a while. And thank you, nature, for providing us the amazing weather, because you always give people with, block parties for extroverts beer festivals. They like to get rowdy, because that's what a beer is. It's a block party for extroverts, unless you're at a Raiders game. But then you'll know you're not, because there might be a stabbing. And then you're at a Raiders game, or you're hanging out with Ganja John. So stay tuned for the next hour for an amazing story. I'm Todd Armstrong. I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you guys so much.
Right on, Todd Armstrong. Todd's Toker Topic. Hey, we got the intro recorded for you too.
I loved it. I was laughing so much I forgot what I was going to talk about. So sorry for the rumbling bit. I was impressed by it.
A little Paint It Black by the Grassmasters. Little bluegrass stones. That's some good stuff.
I dig it. I'm a Dad's name's Cletus again. I come from bluesgrass. I love Hank Williams
why
Sr.
I picked it.
I loved it.
And speaking of Hank
I'm the
Williams,
man in black, both like growing up chubby and loving Johnny Cash.
You betcha.
Hey,
and actually, Johnny Cash, we lost Johnny Cash 8 years ago yesterday.
Oh, wow.
As a matter of
God,
fact,
that was
Tupac
8 years
Shakur,
ago.
15 years ago today.
Who?
Jesus. Tupac.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't catch it. I know who Tupac is.
What?
I know California Love. I know it's like one of his worst songs, but it's still got a good beat to it.
Yeah.
Dre beats and Tupac. Love it.
Love it. Hey, you mentioned Hank Williams. I wanted to bring up breaking news here on Norml Show Live. Got this note from Herb Thrasher yesterday. He's putting together the Norml Rocks with Herb Thrasher show. We did our interview with Valiant Thor and so on. He has got us backstage to go interview Hank Williams III.
Fuck
when
you.
He gets
that
here.
Dude is so cool just in a sense of his style. Like that dude he took a caricature of a hillbilly and he's like, and fuck that, I can make it worse. Like, no, sideburns, check. Shitty neck tattoos, boom, already had them. Like, it's so awesome. I love the dude.
Wow,
like,
thank you, Herb.
And he embraces his dad's music. I mean, or his grandpa's music, not his dad's music. No slant to his dad. Like, hang out with Kid Rock all you want. I really don't want to hang out with either of you, but like, fucking Hank 1 and Hank 3, that's good.
Yeah. Hank Williams are like Star Trek movies, every other one's good.
Or it's the inverse of a Star Wars movie.
There we
that's
go.
right. Because like the middle one's like bitching. Sorry, I don't even count the prequels because I have a nephew that makes me watch them.
Those aren't Star Wars movies.
No, it's like Muppet movies for people that have no brain.
What is wrong with George
Jar Jar Binks makes me want to be racist again. Like, that is just shocking. That's like those black crows in the Disney movies.
It's Song of the South, yeah.
Oh, Misa wanna be white. Like, oh god, it's horrible.
You do know the person that played that character was African American.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's like, oh god.
Well, we got to wrap things up.
Kid
here
Rock's white, and he still embarrasses the shit out of me as a white person.
Thanks for joining us here for Norml Show Live, Voice of the Marijuana Nation. We're having a lot of fun here in the studio. So those of you listening live, you'll want to stay tuned for Toker Talk Radio in hour 2. We'll let it go and get the story from Ganja John. And for everyone here with the Norml Foundation, Wiz Kaliko, Cannabis Cure UK, Ganja John, Cannabis Carry, Todd Armstrong, a.k.a. Goop the Knob. Sarah's here. Sarah and Dan are here. Laid Back Lumberjack on Twitter. He's hanging loose. We're going to need a bigger studio.
You're high.
We got to call it a day. We will see you later. So until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Take it out one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it.